Hi, so we are now on air with Gauntlet Hangouts on air. You're listening to Scum and Villainy. Um, I'm Gene. I go by he, him. We're going to do a quick round of introductions, and we're going to start with Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I go by he, him. Been with the Gauntlet for nearly a year now. Yeah.
Cool. Jason, how about you?
Hi, I'm Jason. I use he, him pronouns, and I think I joined the Gauntlet around August or something. So anyway, been around a little while.
Cool. And Jason is the designer of Demigods, which is a PBTA Scion style game.
That's true. Thanks for mentioning that. It's we're hoping to kickstart in June, so fingers crossed.
Feel free to ping him.
It's a ton of fun. Play it.
Jesse, you're next.
I am Jesse. He, him. I've been playing games with the Gauntlet for, I guess, almost a year and a half now. Yeah, good times.
Excellent. And Peter, last but certainly not least.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Peter. I use he, him pronouns. And I've been with the Gauntlet since about late December, so I'm kind of the newest of the group, but I don't think anyone would know that by the amount of games I play.
You are a veteran now, Peter, so you could put that on your card. Okay, great. So this is session 0. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're going to have to hack in this game to make it work in the setting. Scum and Villainy, if you're familiar with the rules, or if you at least browsed it, comes with a default setting, and that's set in something called the Procyon sector, and they've kind of established this whole mythos about it. So obviously, we are transplanting the rules to operate in the Cowboy Bebop world, which is an anime setting. It is in the solar system of the not so distant future. There are stargates that plumb the planets, making interplanetary space travel a matter of hours, not days. For the most part, it maps very well in nearly every aspect. One of the things we are going to change, obviously, are the factions. So I've done some work to map the factions from what is in the default setting to ones that are canon in the anime. So unfortunately, I don't have that document in front of me. It's a bunch of links and scribbly things. So by next week, I'll have that all together. But for the most part, as we go through the playbooks, wherever there's a reference to a specific faction, we'll map it to something that's appropriate for Cowboy Bebop. Okay. The other major thing that is not covered in Scum and Villainy is that in Cowboy Bebop, all the major characters have what's called a zip craft. That is, they have their own personal spacecraft. So we will be doing that in the game as well. Okay. So if you're following along with the book, we are on page 56, which is character creation. We're going to use part of the session 0 to create characters, and they'll take roughly an hour, depending on how fast you guys are. And then we'll be playing the game immediately after. Any questions, comments? All right, good group. Nice. So you're going to choose characters. On page 56, there is a list of the playbooks. If you look on Rule 20 under the 3rd tab, which is the Journal tab, I've created a character for everyone. Alex's character is conveniently called Alex's character. I know Peter is familiar with Rule 20. Jason, I know you recently joined, but you should be able to find your character in there. And Jesse, I believe I have one for you as well. So if you open up that document and you go to character sheet, the very first thing is you'll be deciding as a group what your playbooks are going to be, and you'll need to type that in. See where it says playbook in gray, like towards the middle of the sheet. You'll be typing what that is. I will do it for Walter's character. Walter will be joining us later in the run. But let's say I change it to Stitch. You open up his character, you'll see that once I change it to Stitch, the scripting on this sheet, and this is one of the reasons we're doing Roll20, has changed all his playbook moves and special abilities for Stitch. So the very first thing, once you guys have decided what your playbook is going to be, is you're going to type that in, and then we're going to proceed from there. So let's hear it. What do you guys think in terms of your playbooks? If you need to have I'm not sure if you all have the rules. I know some of you do. If you need more, I put out some handouts in also in the journal that had some of the information if you need a little bit more, or we could just talk it through. So if you just have a question about a playbook, ask away.
So I have thoughts about what I want to play, but also this is kind of a one shot for me. So like if I know like Forged in the Dark games in general are not that particular about overlapping playbooks. But that said, if especially since it's a shorter run of games, like I also don't want to. If someone is like, I'd like to play the pilot, but if there's someone else who's like, I want to be the pilot and that's the role I want, I'm happy to sort of step aside and for someone who's going to be around for the full run.
Sure. So Jesse's playing for just this session. Next week, Kayla and Walter will be joining us. So that actually kind of works in both the show and the game. So that's good. That's good to bring up, Jesse. Pilot is fun. But if someone else has their heart set on pilot, we can talk it through. Okay. This is a really pensive group, so I'll do this way. What do you guys? What's on the top of your mind, Peter?
So I'm looking through the different character suggestions, and I think the thing that's I mean, because there's so much I could really go for. I think the thing I'm leaning towards is actually the Stitch, I think. But also I play a lot of like doctor type characters, so I'm perfectly happy to like branch out. Even like the one game I played with Alex, I was the ship's doctor, and I just oh god, I was such a heel. But point is, I'm game for that. I could go a few different ways. I feel like whatever I play, I'm going to be able to figure out as I go along, just like with this game.
Yeah, I played with you a few times. I think you do have range, so don't
pigeonhole myself.
You don't have to apologize to anyone.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with the Stitch. But specifically, I think I'm going to try and come at it from like a mad scientist point of view.
Okay, cool. Alex and Jason, what are you guys thinking?
I'm pretty flexible, so I'll let Jason go first.
Okay, my plan was just to roll a die on what was left and pick randomly because I enjoyed being extra. So if there's something that jumps out at you, feel free, or I'll just roll a 1d5.
Okay, I mean, I think then I would probably go for the scoundrel.
Cool.
I like it. Cool.
Let's see if I can roll. So that leaves 4 playbooks, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have rolled a 1.
Okay.
So in the order, that looks like no one picked the mechanic, right?
Right.
All right. I'll be playing the mechanic.
Okay. Excellent. So again, what I told you about, like the very first thing you're going to do for your character is type in where it says playbook. You're going to type in what you chose, and I think
with a the or just the name of it.
No, just the name. So I'm just going to double check to make sure we all did that. Okay, Alex, you get a gold star.
I'm going to change mine, actually. I'm going to go ahead and play the speaker.
Okay, I like it.
Because I feel like I'm going to end up talking more than I should, so I might as well lean into that.
Cool. Okay, so it looks
that's
like
a good self-awareness.
you can talk a lot as a doctor. You have room.
Yes, but at least this way, people might like me and not go, "How do I get out of this room?"
All right. So one of the first things that it did when you chose your playbook is that it chose your starting ability. And on Jason's character, for example, it's on the left-hand side, roughly halfway down the sheet. It says starting ability. Yours is Tinker. So you get that one by default, and I believe you get one more. So you get to choose. Well, I'm sorry, you don't get one more starting ability. You get to choose a special ability. So each playbook has a list of special abilities. Choose one special ability for your character. That's on page 57 if you're following along. And then once you've done that, I'll give you time to do that. Obviously, we're going to go to page 58. The next thing is to choose a heritage. We talked a little bit about what that would be for Jason, which is manufactured. But on page 58, there's a list of heritages. So everyone, please choose a special ability, choose a heritage. If you're all antsy, you can go ahead and choose a background, which is also on page 58. I'll be right back. So take a minute.
Any sort of themes people are looking at for their special abilities? Because if I can make sure I'm picking something useful or helpful is what I mean.
Right.
Always
thinking about that.
I don't know about themes. I was going to go for Daredevil. Lets me take an extra die on a desperate roll.
Daredevil is really, really awesome. Yeah, I know. I'm my Blades advice, especially for like shortish runs, is like stuff that lets you do more in exchange for stress. Like you can always do more in exchange for stress, but like it's one of the fun things about these games to my mind is like the constantly like pushing yourself to be on the edge of your abilities. And that's what stress lets you do. And so, like, for example, I chose Leaf on the Wind. When you push yourself, you may spend +1 stress, which is 3 stress, which is a fair number, to gain both +1 effect and +1 D instead of one or the other. So it's like more stress for more stuff. If I don't fill out my, since this is the only session I'm playing, I will consider myself a failure if I have not run out of stress by the end of this session.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Like I think it's just, push your character as hard as you can in these games, because you'll be rewarded for it in, I think, a lot of fun ways.
Does anyone have a sense whether I would be more helpful as a more leaning into like the hacking or the mechanics aspect?
I think that will sort of like whichever one. I don't know. I've never played with Gene before, but like I imagine whichever one you lean into, he will give us obstacles.
Yeah,
that
that's
will
a fair
then
point,
reflect that.
Yeah, I'm like it. I'm still even back at like the top where I'm going like, oh crap, do I want to be the speaker of the Stitch? I'm like, or even something different. Like that's the problem. I didn't like read all of these, so I'm like, I don't know what I want.
I want it all.
You know what? I know what I'm gonna do. Okay. I went ahead and did my own little fate thing as well, so I'm actually going to be the muscle.
Cool.
That's something I haven't done.
As a real life computer science person, I'm going to not do that and go to the mechanics side of this, I think. So hopefully we'll get a chance to break things. I mean, I could only imagine that the job's going perfectly well without any complications or difficulties. So I can't imagine what would be broken.
This, right?
Oh yeah, the rig. Yeah, that seems like something I'm going to use a lot.
Quite honestly, there's so much here that I don't even know where to start besides the fact that I just picked my playbook.
Yeah, I'm bummed I only get to pick one of these.
You'll hopefully almost certainly level up a few times.
Okay.
Like my experience, I mean, it depends on how you decide to like lay out your XP. But my experience is that most of the time, like you'll gain an extra ability every 1 or 2 sessions. And you can set up the depending on what crew we choose, we can set up what kind of, I don't know exactly what Gene has planned for that, if we're definitely the Cerberus or something else, but like we can choose special ability that will like help us train
Cool.
certain things to even be able to like pump up more during downtime. So like if you want to like shoot for certain kinds of special abilities, like that's something that we can figure out a way to make happen.
What?
Yeah. I'm just going to tell you right now, you can count on getting about 1 special ability per session. So by the end of this, you'll have 2 more.
What is a rolling a critical? How do the dice work in this?
Okay. If what you want to do is you want to roll a 6. So you kind of have a dice pool. So you start off with 2, and based on certain things that you could do to manipulate the pool, you can have up to 5. And out of those 5, you want to have a 6. Anything above 1 6 counts as a critical, or rather a better success. So
okay.
Also, Gene, as a heads up while you were gone, I'm actually going to go ahead and play the muscle.
All right. It's your prerogative to change your mind. So
it is. And by my prerogative, I mean I went ahead and rolled a fake die of D4, and I got a 1 as well. So muscle.
Cool.
Figured it was a lot easier.
So has everyone chosen their special ability and their heritage and background?
Finally decided.
How about you, Alex?
Yes, I have a heritage, background, and special ability figured out.
So what did you choose?
So for special ability, I chose Daredevil. When you make a desperate roll, you may take +1 die. If you do so, do not mark XP in that action's attribute. For heritage, I chose Colonist, and for background, I chose Syndicate.
Okay. Now, this sheet is a little weird in that sometimes these things are hard to find on the page, but you found them correctly. They're in the upper left-hand block for heritage and background, which is great. Cool. And Jason, can you tell us what you chose? I see what you chose, but for the viewing audience, whoever they may be.
I chose manufactured as my heritage because I wouldn't be on brand if I was not playing a robot boy. And my background, I chose cult. I think there's a small number of intelligent machines who've decided like, hey, we're intelligent. Not that that's that doesn't have to have a big impact on the game, but yeah, just comes from that independent-minded group of machines.
Cool. Jason, what did you choose?
Oh, that was me.
I'm sorry, not. Well, what did you choose for your special ability?
Oh, right. I chose overclocked. Which did you want me to read it or?
Sure.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just I get bonus for repairing or upgrading the system. So.
Cool. Jesse, what did you choose for your heritage background and your special ability?
So my heritage is wonder. I think my family sort of was not so rooted in any of the particular planets, but bounced around a whole bunch. Spent a lot of time in space. My background is military. I'm not sure exactly what I was bounced out for something. Possibly just for being reckless and damaging too much equipment. Could lean into that kind of trope. Possibly for something worse. And my special ability is Leaf on the Wind. When you push yourself, you may spend +1 stress to gain both +1 effect and +1 D instead of one or the other. Because as I was saying to everybody else, if I do not stress out by the end of this session, I will feel like I have failed myself.
Cool.
Make use of that stress.
Yeah, it's like a rented car. Peter, what did you choose for heritage background and your special ability?
Right. So, I'm playing the muscle. For my heritage, I chose Wanderer. For my background, I chose military. And for my special ability, I went ahead and chose Bodyguard, which is when you protect a crewmate, resist with +1 D. When you take harm, clear 1 stress.
Cool. Those are all great choices. I think I like the synergy between the characters. We're gonna kind of drill into the details between, or the differences rather, between Jesse's military background and Peter's. So right now, I see some of you guys have already worked on names, which is great. We also need to assign 4 action dots, and these are the rightmost column. See where it says Insight, Prowess, and Resolve? You already should have one marked as 2, and there's little triangles by the ability, and one is marked as 1. So for example, Jesse has 1 in Rig and 2 in Helm. So you're going to be adding 4 dots, or 4 of those little triangles. No ability to start out can be more than 2. So basically what this means for those who've never played it is that these are the number of dice you're rolling. So again, you want to roll a 6. A 4 to 5 is a partial success, or rather, success with consequences. A 6 is a complete success. So you can do the math on 1 die. Half the time you're going to be successful. A third of the time you're going to be successful with some issues. So obviously you want more dice than 1 or 2. If you have no skill, you can still roll on something. However, you will choose the lower of the die. So we'll get to that once we get into skills and stuff like that, and how you could bump up your rolls.
Sorry, just to clarify, we didn't end up with someone playing the Stitch, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I for Walter, I put that in as a placeholder.
Minor dog problems here. Sorry.
So if you have any questions about what these skills are, feel free to ask. They are a little vague. So for example, Scrap is the roll you're going to be rolling to punch things or to shoot things. Skulk is basically all your thiefy moves. There is a difference between Consort and Sway. Sway is Persuade. Consort is basically to know the system. Those are fully detailed, obviously, in the book. Actually, much later than you think it is in the book. But they're a little vague just based on what you're seeing in front of you. So my thought is make your best guess. And if you have anything really specific that we could talk about, I could point you to the right page.
Can you just remind me of the rough range of Scramble? Like, is that your running, jumping kind of stuff?
I believe it is, and that's page 222. When you scramble, you lift, climb, jump, run, or swim, usually either away from or into danger.
Great. Yeah, I don't actually have a copy of the book, so that's why I wanted to check that. But thanks.
Okay, I think we're just waiting on Jason to, or you have one more to add, right? No, you have two. Alex, you're looking good, and you might be changing your mind, but I have all the sheets open so I can just see what you guys are doing.
We're adding 4 points, right?
Yes, total.
Okay.
So at the end, you should have 7 filled out.
All set.
Okay, cool. All right, I just looked those all over. Everyone looks good. If somewhere during this character creation process you say, "Oh, suddenly I don't want study, you want skulk instead," fine. It's kind of tricky when you've never played the game to know what's going to be important, but we'll get there. So at the page of 59, I'm sorry, at the end of page 59, we get to choose one friend and one rival. This is actually on your sheet. It's kind of hard to find though. It's on the right-hand side towards the bottom, above where it says clocks. So it says colorful friends, and you'll notice that very faintly there's an up arrow and a down arrow. So basically, for each sheet, they're slightly different, I think. Yeah, they are different. So Alex's friends are different from Jason's friends. So you're going to choose one up arrow to represent your friend and one down arrow to represent your rival. So again, these are kind of vague, and they're purposely vague. We're going to fill in the details of these characters and their relationships to your characters as we play. So
Just a curiosity thing. Is there any overlap between the like friends and rivals between playbooks? I know Blades has like a cool little thing where like the Whisper and the I forget who it is have like the same have the same have like some of the same people, but there's like different takes on them. So like one mentions that they're a ghost or possessed or whatever, and the other one things like that. Just out of curiosity, is that here also, or are they all completely different?
I've yet to run into it. That doesn't mean there isn't, but just like there is a difference between how Blades and Scum and Villainy are. For the most part, there's not a lot of that inner playbook crossover. So
Cool, very cool. Just curious.
And by the way, you're all able to open each other's sheets. So if you really wanted to be nosy, you could look at the other sheets.
I am super nosy, and I'm going to do that right now.
Scandalous.
Why don't we talk about who we chose? Alex, why don't you go first? Who is your friend and who is your rival?
Okay, so my friend is Rin, a smuggler, and my rival is Batro, a bounty hunter. I'm thinking that's in relation to like the syndicate that my character is indebted to.
Okay, I like it. And we could talk about your character name. So what is your character's name?
My character is named Quip Cambridge.
What do you think Quip looks like?
I think he's got a pretty mild-mannered look, actually. I think he's I think he's got kind of shabby clothes. Not like rags, but like he doesn't look especially like somebody important.
Okay, cool. Jason, why don't you tell us about your character's rival and also your character's name and what you think he looks like or she looks like, or your pronoun because it's manufactured. So
yeah. So Hot Swap is the name of my mechanical character. They use well, it uses it pronouns, and I just closed roll 20. So good job, me. I think we're all proud, really. So character sheet, right? So I modified the family member. It said Ken. I changed it to K3NN, and that's my rival, and is just somebody who is kind of in charge of the air quotes around cult of the robots, but Hot Swap doesn't think Ken should be in charge. And Slice is my good friend. Is my human friend who owns a junkyard and is usually able to get me pieces and parts when I need stuff. Is that what I needed?
you did show us the picture of what you thought the character looked like. Is that still your vision?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for anyone just kind of listening along, I'm using the XBot 4000 from the Love, Death, and Robots series on Netflix right now.
Cool. Jesse, why don't you tell us about your character's name and your friend and rival and what they look like?
Sure. So I'm playing Calamity Fontaine, she, her pronouns. I think she has a cybernetic prosthetic leg. And I think like a kind of big scar on her like right arm and like right arm and shoulder that she actually, I think she often wears like sleeveless shirts, like she's proud of her scars and wants to show them. Kind of like medium build, lean and muscular, like chin length hair, dark hair. My friends and rivals are Chos, a professional racer who I have shown up 6 too many times, and is really gunning for me. And my friend is Mav, a former mentor. I'm thinking they are the sort of my former commander, who like really just like kept on my former like or even better, no, not commander, like the non-com officer that was sort of like supposed to like supervise me, but not an actual officer, who like regrets the events that led to that led to my discharge, and like keeps on trying to pull me back into military life in different ways.
Cool. We're going to move on. Peter, tell us about your character. Who is your friend and rival, and what they look like, and what's their name?
Yeah, so I'll work backwards in a way. So my character is Jarek Hex. He him pronouns. Basically, I think what I actually have in mind is a non-magical space version of Harry Dresden, in the fact that he's got a thick duster and I think, a hat that he's very fond of, but usually gets thrown off in scuffles. And so there's that. For my deadly friends, my rival is Shad, a weapons dealer. I've almost certainly made one too many deals with them, and eventually it's going to come back to bite me what I owe them in return. It was a very general deal on my end, and I needed something specific, and now, well, they'll come to collect. And then my friend is Aya, an assassin, who I get the sense between us there's a very will they, won't they, and the only reason it keeps being a won't they is because we keep going off in opposite directions for professional reasons. Also, we're at an odd sort of crossroads where my instinct is to protect people and her instinct is to kill them. So we don't really agree with each other's methods, but we seemingly both get the job done.
Cool. I'm going to ask you all a couple of follow-up questions on your contacts. Quip, you said that Batro is a bounty hunter. Is Batro after you? So that's for Alex.
I think he's Quip specifically, but but he has a storied history with the syndicate that Quip works for, and they've had a couple run-ins. But I don't know if there is specifically a bounty on Quip's head at this moment.
All right.
I'm thinking it's called the Black Turtle Syndicate.
Okay. Pencil that in. Cool. Hot Swap. Ken, is Ken the same model as Hot Swap? Or a different model?
I think they are the same model, actually. Also, sorry, I'm changing the name. That name was too goofy for me. It's KR4N3 and just goes by Crane. So that should be a little bit better. Anyway, so Ken is a newer model, and I'm like a pretty scuffed up, you know, whatever model we are, yeah. So he's kind of able to like. I mean, he has faster processors. He has, you know, a little bit higher, you know, technology level, and was able to sort of make the point to others in our little cult following that it should be in charge of things rather than me. And I think actually I was in charge until Ken came along, and that also led to me taking a break and heading out to wander a bit.
Okay. Cool. So Calamity, you mentioned that Choss is your rival. You also kind of alluded to this, but I just want to make sure it's clear that Calamity has beaten Choss more times than not.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct.
So they've had some
very fast.
They've had some head-to-head races, or have these been official races or illegal? What kind of races are they?
These are illegal races. Calamity is not a gambler, really. Like, that's not her vice, and she doesn't do it for the money or even like the thrill of winning and losing. She just needs opportunities to fly really, really fast. And so when she's not getting paid to do it by someone else, the illegal races are the best place for her to do it. So part of it is also that, like, it matters less to her than to Choss, and yet she's still constantly beating them.
Do you think that Choss has any scruples about cheating or, you know, doing whatever it takes to win?
I think Chas won't cheat during the race. It's like important to them that like the actual like events be clean, but they have no scruples about like, you know, smacking Calamity on the head and leaving her in a ditch to not race, or incapacitating her so that she doesn't race as well, like once the starting gun goes. It's a weird kind of code.
Cool. Excellent. So Jarek, Aya, who's an assassin. Did you know that Aya was an assassin when you met, or did you meet before she became an assassin? I mean,
We
what's
both. So I think we met on the same job from different ends. She was trying to kill the person I was trying to protect.
Oh, so how did that turn out?
Well, they're still alive. But as far as Aya's employer is concerned, they're dead. So they're basically Schrodinger.
Does Aya know that the person's alive, or did you mislead Aya?
Oh no, we're both on the same page about that. I think that we came to a bit of an agreement, but that other part of that agreement was let's not work on the same job again. Because the next time one of us has to actually win that.
Okay, so you're kind of describing your character as a bodyguard. I know you chose that power. Is that kind of your thought?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna get more into the actual professions of the crew in a little bit, but just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we kind of did this in a weird way. Normally we would have this discussion after you choose your vice, but I wanted to do it before we chose your vice because sometimes these questions inform what vice you're going to choose. So on page 60, and also this is at the top of your sheet, just underneath heritage and background, there's a vice. Each one of you is going to choose a vice. A vice is what you use to get rid of stress, which is basically your battle damage and or your fuel to do really cool things. So when Jesse says that his goal is to leave tonight's session completely stressed out, and that you see the stress thing right beneath the vice purveyor. So basically you need to choose it and choose one, and explanations are on page 60. Jesse, I think you know what these are. So if you haven't need an explanation because you don't have the book, let me know. And you because Scum and Villainy and Blades in the Dark operate in phases, you would indulge these during your downtime phase. You would indulge, for example, if you chose I don't know, you chose faith, for example, during your downtime, you would um, do an activity that contributes to your faith, and you would roll to see how much stress you remove. So it's kind of the micro mechanic, but we'll get in more detail as it comes up. Anyway, you'll also fill out like the details. So in addition to choosing, for example, luxury, you would say you might want to say what you're into, like you're into women's shoes. I don't know. High end stereo equipment. I don't know. It's up to you. Anyway, so make that decision.
Can I just like pick the other player's brain a little bit about the setting? Because this is like something that I'm having a hard time coming up with, although I know there are examples of it within the show. So I want Calamity's vice to be faith. I think like she feels the more I'm thinking about the story, I think she feels as if like the disastrous accident that did all of the property damage hurt her body and got her kicked out of the military. Like she was only saved because of a higher power. but I'm trying to think about like what faith communities look like in the Cowboy Bebop setting. Not necessarily like religious ideology, but like communities. Like, and I feel like there's there's at least one episode where we see. I'm just like my brain is blanking.
Yeah, that was Brain Scratch, and that was the one where it was a virtual cult. However, there's also another episode where like feng shui is a big deal, and it's kind of a mystical. It's more mystical religious than arrangement of chairs. So
right, I like
you,
that.
you have a
I
lot of play there. So you could go from one extreme of being like a real cult to following just a belief, and during your downtime you would be um, observing that belief.
right. Okay, I think it's all right. I'm getting some ideas. Thank you.
Real quick, Jesse, just as an idea to toss out there, you said the Calamity got banged up real bad.
Yeah.
Any prosthetics result from
Yeah,
that?
yeah. She has a cybernetic prosthetic leg.
So I mean, it might be possible that made friends with some robotic folks in the process, and that maybe there's contact there with that cult, but it might not make sense for Calamity to do that. But just
I mean, so what's the so here's the thinking, and I like this idea, and I think making it work is good. Like the idea is sort of that she feels as if a higher power saved her. So like is this a cult that believes in like some kind, it could be a spiritual force or like a pagan kind of god, or even like as what we think of as like one of the monotheistic religions, but like is there like there needs to be some kind of higher power that she's sort of that acts in the world for that to.
Well, subject to Gene's approval, of course. The thing I had in mind for the robot cult is that they are sentient, but no one can explain how they went from like dumb robot to sentient intelligence. And so this small group of sentient robots has faith in some sort of like it's illogical for them to have faith, but they can now experience illogic. And so for them, yeah, it's this like some impetus in the universe has allowed them actual intelligence and sentience. Yeah, I don't know how further to describe it, but
I like that. I think that she sort of like feels a kinship with you folks because of her cybernetics. And that like possibly part of this was like maybe even like a kind of naive idea that this was pushed specifically to like connect her in some way to the robots. All right, I just need to know, is there a cult leader? What's the cult leader's name?
Oh, that's K3NN. That's Ken.
Great.
He means
Ken
crane.
is what?
He means crane, unless he changed it back to Ken.
Oh,
no. I'm Crane.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, my enemy's name is Ken.
Great.
Oh,
Fantastic. So yeah, your enemy is my vice purveyor.
Excellent. I love it.
Alex and Peter, what do you guys think? We are kind of getting into writing in the margins of the setting. Are you guys cool with that?
I'm totally fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I certainly have no issue.
Okay. Alex, what did you choose for your character's vice?
So I chose gambling because like I was thinking obligation, but I mean this is to like relieve stress, right?
Yes.
So I think the Black Turtle Syndicate has a strange tendency to rather than just like offing people that get on their bad side, they essentially force them into working for them, and I think that's what happened to Quip. And I think it was his like he was trying to cheat a member of the syndicate or something, and incurred their wrath, and now so it's basically sort of like, you work for us now, and if you don't, we will kill you.
Cool. I like it. Crane, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your vice is?
Yeah, I took obligation because even though Crane's out kind of on walkabout or maybe Rumspringa, its sense of obligation to like send supplies or cash or whatever to the group in general, or like if Crane came across a robot that seemed like it was, you know, on its way to sentience, like maybe try to support it somehow, and would just kind of always be on the lookout for that. And just to be fair too, like I know we're kind of on the fringe of Bebop territory. I'm picturing like half a dozen robots in this cult, so it's not like some, you know, massive army of robots who are going to go and march for independence. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
I like it. I think it's also in the vein of it. You know what I mean? There's kind of an anything goes vibe to some of the Bebop stuff. So I think we're cool with that. If it gets too much into, you know, into Terminator territory, we will refocus things. Yeah. Peter, why don't you tell us what vice you chose for your Jarek?
Yeah. So Jarek's vice just it's pleasure. It's good food, drink. If the, you know, if physical intimacy comes along, that's just part of it. But his focus is more on like he's got one life and he's going to enjoy whatever he gets to properly digest.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're closing to the first part of character creation. There's going to be a smaller second part, but what I'd like you to do very briefly on your sheet beneath your special abilities, there's your playbook advancement. That little track on the right where it says playbook advancement is basically you need to fill that thing. And also there's another way to track experience, and we'll get to it once we get to it. It'll occur during play, but basically it'll tell you when to mark things. So this is pretty much the same for everyone. You mark XP every time you roll a desperate action, mark XP in that action's attribute. We will discuss what an action roll looks like. However, there are 3 types of actions. I think it's called position. You're doing an action from a controlled, a risky, or desperate position. Controlled being the easiest and desperate being the most dire. Most everything is going to be from a risky roll with standard effects. The reason I'm bringing this up now is that I'd like you to all try to roll something on your right-hand side where it has, you know, the triangles that you chose. You could mouse over a ability and just click it, and it's going to ask you some questions. It's going to ask you is this controlled, is this a standard, I'm sorry, risky, or is this desperate? And then it's going to ask you, you know, what kind of position it is, and you're just going to use standard for that one. So make sure you acquaint yourself with when to mark XP. I'll be reminding you when to do it as well, but also just, you know, like an interface thing. Try clicking something.
Wish I'd saved that roll for the game.
Yeah.
5 with 0 dice.
So like I said, the scripting on the sheet is pretty badass. So it will what the result is going to be. We could break these down a little further. On Alex's roll, Quip rolled sway 1 and a 6. The 6 is success, even on a desperate position. I like how you chose that. That would be success, complete success. On Calamity's roll for a tune, it's a 5 and a 5. Even with a desperate, that is still a success with either complications or strings attached. You know the drill. So even if there's 2 5s, you take the highest. Although wait, it says 0 dice, take the lowest result above. I'm not sure why that is. I'll have to look at your sheet. Oh, I see why. I see why. You added a die when you made the roll, and also you don't have. Actually, you added 2 dice. No, you added a die, and you also don't have an ability in it, so you don't have any triangles in it. Jason, you rolled some 1s, and that would be a straight up miss. Nice job. And Peter, you rolled a scrap 3 and a 5. A 5 is a success, even on a risky, which is pretty much the baseline. That would be a success with complications. So I think you guys got it. You can do various things to add bonus dice. This is explained in the same column on the right-hand side. You can push yourself, and you would add stress, or you can accept a devil's bargain. A devil's bargain is we talk it out and say, okay, if you do this, you know, this is what's going to happen. And a devil's bargain happens regardless of you're successful or not. But we'll get to it when we actually do it. We can do an assist. So for example, Calamity is piloting the ship through a terrible magnetic storm. Crane wants to assist because Crane's a mechanic and is massaging the engines or something. Crane would spend 1 stress point to give Calamity 1 more die. Okay, and you spend Gambit. Gambits are bennies. They are whatever's in the pool that you can use to expend to get more dice. A little further, it tells you how to add Gambits. When you roll a critical 6 on a risky action and didn't spend a Gambit, you add to the pool. So that's pretty much it. We're going to talk about load, which is the column immediately to the left of skills when we actually start the game. We're going to take a short break right now. We're going a little bit long, but we're still well within time. When we return, which will be in anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, depending on what you guys are doing, we are going to talk about the crew, which is basically what you guys are doing. So your choices are, just to go over it briefly, in Scum and Villainy, you can choose between smugglers, bounty hunters, or rebels. And this affects the ship. I will say for Cowboy Bebop, the default will be bounty hunters, but we can make any of those work. Go ahead, Jesse. You had a question?
Sorry, it was a question about action roll, so maybe I'll save it for when it comes up in play since we've moved past. I didn't. That's all right. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. All right.
I think I have a character creation question. I just wanted to check this in our downtime. Did I miss the part where we checked equipment, or do you just have everything on the equipment list?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Basically, what you do is you choose your load, and this is right below your where it says mechanic. It says load, 3 light, 5 normal, 6 heavy. You actually don't click anything until you use it. So, for example, if you had 5 normal, that means you could choose any of the 5. For example, let's say Jesse or Calamity chose a light load, and somewhere during the mission, Calamity says, I really need a heavy blaster. Calamity's player, Jesse, would mark 2 boxes where it says heavy blaster. So Calamity's load is 3, minus 2 leaves 1. And that happens for the course of this mission, leaving 1 to spend. Somewhere along the way, Calamity decides she needs spy gear. She clicks spy gear. She's out of load, and she can't get anything else on her equipment list. Now, every sheet has items that are italicized. You get those for free. So if Calamity is halfway through the mission and wants to smoke a victory cigar, she gets the cigars for free. So that's just how it works.
Does she also get a lighter?
This is the future, man. There's self-lighting.
Great.
Okay, so we're going to take our break. It's 7:14. Let's try to get back at around 7:25 Pacific time. I don't know where you are, Jesse, but that's in 10 minutes. Think about the crew, and we'll pick up from there. Okay, looks like we're all back. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to go. Cool. Everyone's back. Cool. So we've just done our characters, and I think we all feel pretty good. I like all the characters so far. They have a good mix. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the ship, and the ship kind of describes. Go ahead, Alex. Do you have a thing you're going to say, or you just hands just up? Okay. So what am I talking about? This is starting on page 111. We're going to do a highly abridged version of this because I do want to get in some gameplay for Jesse. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the ship. We will work on the ship more during the second session, or add and fill in any details should they come up right now. Okay, so we're going to do two things here. We're going to decide on a ship. So on page 111, this chapter starts. On page 112, it basically tells you to choose between the three. You have three choices. You can choose the Star Dancer, you can choose the Cerberus, or the Fire Drake. And I'll explain briefly what they are. The Star Dancer means you are a group of smugglers. Basically, the equivalent would be Firefly. If you wanted to play Firefly, you would choose Star Dancer. Cerberus is you are bounty hunters and extraction specialists. This is basically maps directly to Cowboy Bebop. So you're bounty hunters, you're going after prizes, you're doing bodyguard work, and you're protecting, assets and that kind of stuff. It also has a highly Shadowrunny feel, it turns out. Fire Drake is you are rebels and criminals. This has a strong Star Wars Rebels feel. If you're super old like me, that has a Blake 7 feel. So that is a way to do that. However, I played this game a bunch, and well, a relative bunch. And what frequently happens is that the crew starts out in one direction and ends up in another. So making this choice now mostly determines what kind of jobs you get during the run. We're not doing a super long run, so you're not going to see like the beauty of multiple jobs. We're probably going to do 2 jobs during this three run session. So anyone have any ideas? We would certainly default to bounty hunters, but we can support any of these in the game world. I've thought about it at least. So it's really up to you in terms of preference.
I'm happy to stick with bounty hunters.
Yeah, the Cerberus seems like a good fit for what we're talking about.
I just like the moral implications of what I have to deal with as being a part of this crew. So yay, Cerberus!
Sure, you're paying me, I'll fly it.
Gene, you're muted.
I do that at least twice every one of these sessions I run. Anyway, on page 130 is the beginning of the Cerberus stuff. And when I said we're going to do an abridged version of this, normally you would spend time doing crew upgrades and that kind of thing. We're going to skip all of that. We're going to make some basic assumptions that your ship has the basic stuff. However, we are going to talk about the sheet. The sheet is another character on the journal thing in Roll20. I have it called the ship. You all have ability to edit this. I think one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to choose a special ability. I think you get one, if I'm not mistaken. And also, we are going to choose a contact. You get to choose one contact. The contact's on the right-hand side below the special abilities. So you guys decide that as a group. So look it over real quick and let me know what you think. And we are going to choose reputation. Let's start with reputation because we're kind of the contacts will probably fall in line with that. So I already typed in Cerberus for the ship, and again, this is one of those things. If I typed Fire Drake, it would change the whole playbook. Where is it on the sheet? Okay, right here, right. It's right at the top underneath Cerberus. You get to choose a reputation. The reputation possibilities are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, strange, and subtle. And I don't believe I have that typed out somewhere. So this is basically what kind of reputation your crew's already been established. This is the kind of buzz you have on the streets or on the circuit. So, any thoughts on that?
I like either ambitious or daring, although most of them seem pretty good as well. But those two in particular I like.
Okay, so I just typed them out on screen, so it's in the Google chat where I typed it.
So we have a mechanic, a muscle, pilot, and speaker right now.
Scoundrel.
Oh, scoundrel. Okay. So our muscle is our muscle stealthy at all, or more straightforward?
I think he's a little more straightforward. I think he could probably be stealthy if people wanted him to be, but his natural instinct is to just say it like it is.
So we probably don't want the I forget what that one of those last reputations was, like skulking or something. Was
subtle?
Subtle.
Yeah.
So we're probably not subtle.
Probably not.
I'm not fast.
I apologize. I spaced out for like 2 seconds. Gene, you just talked about crew XP.
No, this is crew reputation.
Right, it's just worth. Does it right? If you play to your rep, you get XP though, right? So it's probably
absolutely
right. So it's probably just worth mentioning that the crew can level up, and like following this reputation is an XP trigger. So it's also like what will be fun. Like it's not just like a fluff thing. Thinking about what would be fun to play into to also get mechanically rewarded for is
right.
You're absolutely correct. And again, I typed this on screen in the Google chat. So if you forgot what
that's super helpful. Thank you, Gene.
That's why I would push for, I think, ambitious or daring.
Yeah, I like both of those,
especially in a short-term sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's go daring. Let's just lean all the way into it.
Sounds good to me.
So more in it for the thrills rather than being the best bounty hunters there have ever been.
I mean, if we get the most thrills out of it, we're already the best bounty hunters that have ever been.
Right. I mean, you can also over the course of a few sessions develop a new reputation alongside the old one.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we're both daring and really successful.
Ooh, yeah. Daring and savvy.
It could also just be, we take on like the difficult jobs because we need to get paid. Sort of that would be very Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, it's my experience that again, this is one of those things where people will say we want to be strange, and it changes almost immediately on contact. There's nothing wrong with going broad right now. I'm just saying that if you give yourself a lot of room to maneuver on your rep, you'll be better off.
So I think daring is good, but in that regard, Crane, I don't think sees itself as a very daring person. So it'll be up to you guys to kind of fill in the more sort of death-defying aspects of that feel. But I like it. I like that feel. I like the idea that Crane has joined up with a ship that is like, oh my god, what have I done?
It could also very much be a kind of thing where like the reputation of the crew is supposed to be daring, but everyone else is going, well, it's all the other people that are daring. I'm not the daring one. And so we just have a crew of daring people who are all like, we're not the daring one.
Except Quip. Quip is willing to admit he's he's a daredevil and he knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
so we're all
Calamity.
pointing. Yeah, we're all pointing at Quip and Calamity. Ooh, that just sounds like a wonderful match.
Yeah, it's a comic book name. Okay, so Alex, why don't you fill in the stuff that we're deciding as a group now for the ship?
Will do.
So you don't have to call it the Cerberus. You can call it anything you want, but do not change where it says in big blue Cerberus, because that'll change the playbook. You would change it under designation if you really wanted to, or in Roll20 you would change the actual sheet. Anyway, so the other two things that we're going to do, we're going to choose a special ability. Jesse's our go-to guy here because he's played this game before. You would choose one of the ones on the right, so licensed, on the trail, light touch, snatch and grab, blah 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 blah. Take a look at them. Choose one. We're also going to choose a contact, and that is just below the special abilities on the right. The one that I don't recommend that you take is Lix, which is a Xeno tracker, for the reasons that Xenos aren't as big a deal in this world. So, in the Cowboy Bebop setting. So any thoughts on special ability?
This is just for me personally, but the one that jumps out is play both sides, because I've already feel like I'm starting to do that.
Yeah, I think that works well for Quip also.
So just, I'm not gonna you guys should do what you want because I'm not coming back next week with the ship. But something to think about here is we want to see this in play soon. I think this is the first one we're taking, and so that's the kind of thing where we're unlikely to release a bounty target within you know what I mean? That's a longer term thing, and so it might be a good idea to take something that
it looks like light touch is something that would happen right away. Snatch and grab,
right? Those kinds of things are going to affect from the very beginning, and then as the first upgrade, play both sides. You could even release, depending on how the score and downtime go, you may have a bounty target during downtime to release right away and do that.
Oh, okay. I mean, one of the other ones that jumps out, I did like the other ones that were mentioned. I also like Deadly, but maybe that's too soon to take. Each crew member may add 1 action rating to command, scrap, or skulk.
Action ratings are always good.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one, to be honest.
Do we count as crew, or is that the other folks on the ship? Or are we the whole crew?
Let me 100% make sure on this.
Okay.
So let me look this up.
I mean, that doesn't that have to be us? NPCs don't have action ratings.
Yeah. I'm inclined to believe that the answer is yes to your question, but fortunately, I'm 100% sure it's actually in the book. So this is on page 133. Each PC may add 1 action rating to command, scrap, or skulk.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, it seems like Deadly's probably the best thing to start with.
Because that way, whatever we end up kind of starting out on first thing, we have ourselves to rely on a little bit more than perhaps whatever gets thrown at us.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it, and in the interest of get moving, let's choose it.
Okay.
Okay, so everyone, you can add 1 to either command, scrap, or skulk.
Also, let me know if anybody comes up with a good ship name. Let me know and I can add that.
Okay.
So
the last thing that we need is you guys need to come up with a contact. This is primarily a narrative thing. So whatever appeals to you, just don't choose licks.
Well, if we're this badass, maybe the weapons dealer or I don't know what an Ashen Knives Pasha is, but it sounds pretty badass.
Well, Ashen Knives is a faction, and that would map to another syndicate.
Oh, I
And-
see. Yeah, I mean, fixers are always helpful too. Basically, I just listed all of them, so good job.
Okay, I should say these are narrative, but they also they do affect your what's called an engagement roll. So like when you start a job, if you're able to call in your contact to help you on that job, you get more dice on the engagement roll. However, it really doesn't make a big difference at this point. And to be honest, you might change this before the next session. So you guys can choose anything you want right now.
what exactly does a fixer do?
A fixer takes care of things for you on the ground. So you fly into Venus, you know someone there, he'll just take care of things for you.
I feel like that one gives us the most flexibility.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what we want.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're pretty deadly already, so we maybe don't need a weapons dealer. So yeah, the fixer is maybe a better choice. I like that.
Okay, Jesse, Peter, thumbs up, thumbs down on fixer, thumbs up. All right, we're gonna keep going.
Okay.
Okay, we are almost done. We're gonna do one last thing, and I think it's one last thing. There's always one last thing. Remember how I said that everyone has a zip craft, and this is your own private ship. In Cowboy Bebop, uh, Spikes was the swordfish 2, to be honest. Phase was the red tail, and Jets was, I can't remember what Jets was. Anyway, so we just basically, we're not going to hack this too far. Just come up with a name. So please write that under notes, or you can even put that under alias at the top left if you want to have it right there. Just come up with a name, and further along the way we'll detail them further. But think about what it looks like. These are almost always personal craft. They fly with just one person. And they are almost always armed. They have a wide array of things they can do. They're almost all interplanetary. So with a gate, you can get from one planet to another just in your zip craft. For Jesse, this could be the thing that you race in for Calamity. So yours could be a racer. If you're thinking, though, that the ship itself is the racing thing, that's possible. But to me, it makes more sense that your
Definitely
zip craft is your racing.
Definitely the zip craft.
Okay. One last thing is that you sometimes, well, in Bebop, the name of the crew is the Bebop. It's also the name of the ship. This is on your sheets in the top upper left by Scum and Villainy. You can come up with a team name. My feeling is that team names are the hardest things to name in any aspect. So maybe we don't do that now. But let me know when you guys are done coming up with the Zipcraft name, and we'll go from there.
I think I'm good to go.
All right. I see that. I like it. How are you doing, Peter?
I think I've got it.
Okay. All right. Eh, there you are. Oh, I like it. Let's not spend time on it. We'll introduce them as needed. We are going to take 2 minutes. So for me, it's 7:43 right now. So at 7:45, we'll pick back up. I just need to go wash the hands, and we'll start playing right then. Okay. Okay, we're all back. I'm going to briefly talk about how stress and actions work. So I already talked to you about what the action roll looks like, right? So you're going to roll based on if you say I'm going to punch some guy. By the way, Jarek, I know you can add one, but you can't add it. No ability can be over two. So so when you added one from the ship, the crew special ability, you can't add it to put your scrap at 3. It has to go on something else.
Oh, okay. I was just confused because the way Deadly's worded it just said each PC may add 1 action rating to blah 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 up to a max of 3.
Yeah,
really?
I also
then,
put Skulk at 3.
All right, you guys are right. I'm wrong. There you go.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so we'll just go for this. So Jarek throws a punch. He rolled scrap. He would click that, and if he did nothing else, he gets 3 dice to roll. We talked about how he could get more dice. He can have people helping him. He could do a devil's bargain, etc. But he can also stress himself. And the stress slider is on the left underneath Vice Purveyor. He could spend 2 stress to give himself another die. When you get all the way to the end of the stress bar, you take a trauma, and that you would choose one of the things on the right. It will affect you in many ways. If you get all the way to the end of the trauma, your character is essentially a walking shell and is retired. Again, we talked about how Vice removes stress. That's his downtime activity. The one thing we didn't talk about is that stress can be used to resist damage. We'll say that that there is someone shoots Jarek. This would normally cause X amount of damage. You don't have to take that. You can say I actively try to resist it. So you would roll a resist roll. That would be a prowess roll. If you look on the right-hand side above scrap, there's like this Uber heading that says prowess. You would click that, and that would be your resist roll. So basically, you can use stress to do certain things. You can use it to bump up your dice. You can use it to reduce damage. But there's always a cost. What? Go ahead.
2 quick questions about that. Sorry. Can you also, in this game, can you also use it to push up effect instead of just dice? Can you push yourself to raise effect instead of dice?
I don't think you can. I
Right.
think that is one of.
Part of the reason I ask is because one of the special abilities I took implies that you can, where it says that right, Leaf on the Wind, when you push yourself, you may spend +1 stress to gain both +1 of effect and +1d instead of one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So the implication seems to be that you can push yourself to do one or the other, but if we're not doing that, that's okay too. I just wanted to
I'll look it up.
Sorry, I know
I'm
slowing us down a little bit.
You might be right, which is fine. We'll take care of it. But the end result of all of this means that the players nearly have all the agency in determining how tough an actual roll is going to be, right? If you want to make it easy, you spend a lot of stress. If you want to make it super hard for yourself, you spend no stress. If you want to make it really hard, you would choose a skill narratively that you can't match to. But me as the GM rarely says, okay, this thing is just super hard and you need to roll like 8 6s or whatever, which is a Shadowrun thing. Basically, you make it as hard as you want. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and get straight to it, unless anyone has any questions about rules. Okay. We're going to start everyone off in Tijuana. Tijuana is an asteroid in the asteroid belt. It is a completely domed over asteroid. It sports 2 large cities that are linked by a monorail. It's large enough that you would take your zip crafts to fly across the asteroid to reach the other city. It is primarily a trading outpost. So all of the other asteroids in the vicinity come to do some trade in Tijuana. Tijuana is also, like I said, completely domed over an atmosphere. It also has day-night simulation. When you're on that asteroid, it feels like you are on a planet. The sky can be blue. The sky has fake weather. We're gonna do a quick round robin though. Calamity, have you ever been to this asteroid?
I'm gonna say no. This is my first time there.
Okay. Have you heard anything about it?
Just that the drinks are cheap and strong.
Okay. Crane, have you ever been to Tijuana?
Technically, yes. Before I was sentient as a maintenance on a ship, but I don't really remember much.
Okay. Do you think you'd appear in any official records?
Like in a loading dock, yeah, probably. I don't know whether they would register just a working bot, but yeah, I think it was some sort of shipment coming in and out.
Sure. Jarek, how about you? Have you ever been here?
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, though.
Were the memories good or bad?
It's a mix, but right now I'm only remembering the bad stuff.
Okay. And finally, Alex, has Quip been there before?
Not even a little bit. I think he's from way out in the outer bounds of the solar system, like from Triton, the moon of Neptune, or something. Real backwoods place, and he's never been someplace this nice.
Okay. So you might think it's nice. The rest of you, it's Tijuana, not just space Tijuana. It's basically Tijuana. Okay. You're here because your fixer has called in a favor, and well, actually not called in a favor. Has given you a tip. Another bounty hunter has blown his assignment and has left his assignment unfinished and is now in Tijuana, holed up in a hotel with the client. I'm sorry, with the target that he's supposed to bring in for his client. So your fixer has clued you in. The bounty is quite large, or at least large enough for you to be interested in it. You've done your due diligence on this one. We're going to say Crane has looked into the database and has found a way to track down this cowboy. His name's Ajax, and you're outside of his hotel on the main street. There's also a back alley that winds around, and it's raining. Your goal is to bring in that target or deal with the cowboy. And we're going to just get straight to it. Normally, if we were playing like the full version of this, is that we would do an engagement roll, but we're going to go ahead and just go straight into it. You know that the target is in there. So his name is Ajax, and he has the target that he was supposed to bring in for the client. You don't know who that is. This is pretty much the whole of your knowledge on it.
Have we had run-ins with Ajax before?
You tell me. How well, okay, let's do a die of fate. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll a d6 and okay. You have not. However, you have heard of him. Ajax is he runs around in kind of a lower tier. But you also know that he's really good with his contracts. So he almost always delivers. And for him to not deliver, he has to have a reason.
Mm. Is there any way I'd be able to like research up some notes on his like fighting styles so I could send them in with more knowledge?
Normally, yes. If we were going to do the whole engagement cycle, we would add that to it.
Sure.
But we're already just going to go straight into it.
Cool.
So,
right. So I guess the question is, do we knock or kick in the door?
Knock, right? We gotta knock.
I mean, I could knock on the door and hopefully kick it down with my fist.
You hold him, I'll talk to him.
Okay, how hard do you want me to hold him? Like, just make him stay where he is, or make him stay where he is forever?
I sort of like.
I think.
Alex, you kind of distorted it out for me, so I kind of missed everything you just
sorry,
said.
I did not actually say anything.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
But also, I'm going read on Twitch, so I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. I'm gonna suggest that while you're entering in the front, I'll maybe slip around the back to make sure that Ajax doesn't get away. That's
yeah,
those are
sure.
the words I'm looking for.
Sure. Yeah, no, you can totally take the back, and
around the back is probably also the best place for me to back up Calamity.
So do we just want to split it and Quip and I go in through the front and you two go in the back?
Sounds like an excellent plan.
Works for me.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So Crane and Calamity circle around. It's maybe a half block and through an alleyway to a slightly bigger alleyway, which leads to the back. This is since it's kind of there is an atmosphere here, but there isn't necessarily a rooftop of this building. It's just like set into the cave. So there is a back and there's a front, but there's no top. So you circle around and it appears mostly empty. This establishment is at least 2 floors, and you would suspect that that he's staying on one of the higher floors. So he's not on the ground level. You don't see any activity from back behind there. Quip and Jarek, you walk into the front door. It is a completely automated hotel. So basically, there's a reception desk, but it's just a lookup terminal, and you would type stuff in, and it would give you information. There's not even like an attempt to have a receptionist there. It's all basically automatic. You see a flight of stairs to your left and a bank of elevators to your right. And the first thing we'll say that Quip notices is that there's a camera that's tracking you immediately as you enter the lobby.
I'm gonna how quickly can I assess where there might be a blind spot?
It's basically up to you, to be honest. You would say that I'm going to look for a blind spot, and then we would say, okay, to me that sounds like you're going to study or do a hack.
Yeah.
And then we would go down that road.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think it's more like looking around the area quickly to. So it sounds more like study to me.
Well, I see what you're saying, but again, this is like how you want to position the narrative. You could say that the first thing you do when you enter is like you wait for the blind spot of the camera and you skulk around it. So it's all how you position narratively.
Okay. I'll do that second thing then.
Okay. I kind of helped you out there, and that's the last time I'm doing it for anybody.
Yeah, it's fair.
But you see how it goes.
Yeah.
You're going to position yourself narratively, and then make the die rolls based on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go ahead and make that roll? You would click Skulk. Now, before you actually do this, we're going to spell out everything. You can also push yourself to give yourself a die. You can get an assist from Jarek. For example, Jarek, crowds the camera. I don't know. Or you could spend a gambit, and we haven't talked about how many gambits you have at this point, but we'll say you have 3.
Also, I have the move that crew starts with +1.
Okay. What's
resets.
Okay, cool. I see. Serendipitous. Excellent. So again, if Jarek assists you, then he has to spend a stress.
I have 3 skulk. I'm probably fine.
Okay, great, cool. Let's see it. Why don't you click that, and your position is going to be risky, which is normal.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a standard effect. Okay, so again, we would choose the highest out of this, which is a 5, which is a success with some attachments. What's Jarek doing while this is happening?
So I think originally I was going to try to just study it from where I was standing, but if Quip is doing his skulking and everything, then I'm probably going to distract the camera by just walking up to the terminal and investigating it. Because, hey, it can't pay attention to both of us if we're moving in different directions. Or can it? I don't really want to know. I do want to know. Sorry.
Yeah, this is a bit mechanical. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to assist him. You already made his roll. So you don't have to You don't have to actually show up in the lobby. You could just go straight upstairs, or you don't have to like compromise your move.
True. Okay, you're right. But I do want to investigate the terminal because I basically I just want to see what I can gather from it.
All right. So are you going to try looking up Ajax in?
That's my intent. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be a study roll, and again, you could either push yourself. You really can't get an assist from this because the only person to assist you would be Quip, and Quip is trying to be stealthy.
Okay.
You can't push yourself, or you can take a devil's bargain or anything else, spend a gambit to get more dice. Otherwise, you roll 2.
What would the devil's bargain be?
I'd say, regardless of whether you are successful or not, there's going to be a security flag tripped by you trying to access that terminal and looking up a guest.
Okay. I'm not going to take the devil's bargain. I'm just going to roll the 2 I have for study.
Okay, cool. So this is your position is going to be risky, and the effect's going to be normal or standard. So when you get prompted, and you add you don't add any more dice when it prompts you. Okay, so that is an outright miss. So yeah, you get to the terminal, and it's obviously not. It's actually pretty old. Apparently, it's software that's maybe 10 years old. You can't make heads or tails of it.
Can I ask a quick rules question here? Is
Sure.
it that I think might also just be helpful depending on what the answer is? Can you resist narrative consequences in this?
I believe you can. So yeah, you can trade stress for you can trade stress to resist the magnitude of the effect. I think that's the right term. So you don't have to take that result.
How would I go about doing that?
Okay, so again, this is the resist thing. So you would choose insight, which is what you would resist against. It's in that same tier that you just did. And basically, what it does is it gives you all the number of triangles in that subsection. So for you, you would roll 3 dice.
Okay.
And if you're able to resist it, then you can resist the effect. However, I'm not 100% sure of how this works out stress-wise, but we'll go ahead and do it and see what happens.
Sure. Okay. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I'm not. Oh, I see why. Okay. It's not going to give you 3 dice. It's going to give you 2 dice, and this is why. See the blue bar?
Let me.
There's on Insight. It says there's a blue bar.
Yeah.
So you get everything on the left of the blue bar. So
if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have rolled.
Okay. Well, let's say you didn't roll. We're gonna just skip it. So
Okay.
we're gonna understand that some of these discussions are just for mechanical explanation. Okay. However, based on
my original
making it, yeah.
Go ahead.
You hear a door slam upstairs and some running.
Okay. So I'm going to go out on a limb and then use my other limb and start running after him.
Okay. Crane and Calamity, you are in the back, and you're not necessarily, we haven't determined that you guys have any communicators, but you can certainly talk to each other and shout. You see some lights well, let me back up here. You see a light in one of the windows turn off suddenly, and then you hear a door slam from within. This is on the 2nd floor.
Is this would it be possible to deploy my small drone?
To do what?
To go peek in the 2nd floor windows?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
That would be. There's a couple ways you do that. That could be a hack if that's your idea.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Or
I think
could be a rig. Hack is usually more of a computery thing. A rig is more of a mechanical thing. So you can also
Yeah,
narratively position this to be a study. It's a little. We have some room to play around with.
yeah. I think rig is probably better because I'm trying to get this thing to fly quickly and get precise with it. So I imagine it's more of a rig
Okay.
sort of thing.
So again, you can push yourself. You can get an assist from Calamity if Calamity wants to loan it. You could spend a gambit, take a devil's bargain, or you could just roll the 2 dice and see what happens.
I would like to get a third die somehow.
I'm just trying to think about like what I could do to sort of narratively position myself to help you here because I'm also back there. I don't know. There's a whole lot that I could do with your drone.
Yeah, the help might not. Let's see. Is it? I can take a stress for an extra die. Sorry.
Yeah. You can push yourself. You can spend 2 stress for the extra die, or you can accept a devil's bargain.
And how does the bargain work again? I'm sorry.
I come up with a terrible thing that can happen, and it happens regardless of whether you're successful or not. And not necessarily terrible, but it has consequences, we'll say.
That's cool, but I'm just gonna spend my stress for now.
Okay.
And
so mark 2 stress. So and then click. We said it was hack,
rig?
right?
I think I'm gonna go with rig.
Either way, you have 2 in either. And then when it says how many dice do you want to add, you want to add 1.
What's the position?
It would be risky and standard.
Okay.
Would be the answers for the next 2.
Standard.
We're gonna keep.
And then bonus dice is last. So
right.
So 1 bonus die.
Yes.
Okay. And that looks pretty good.
Nice. So again, that is a complete success. And since you have 2 6s, we would add one token to the gambit token. And I believe right now you're at 5. So they said we start at 3. We added 1 because of Alex's serendipitous skill, and then he just rolled a 6.
Okay,
so
cool.
You guys have 5. Okay, so your drone goes up and scans that room where the light turns off. It sees, and we'll say you have a little remote monitor. It sees a well-lived-in hotel room. There is a portable computing device attached to a larger cylinder, and it seems to be pumping out data. There also appears to be an empty bag on the bed, and this is definitely the room that the lights just turned out. So this is all happening at the same time. The lights turned out for a reason. It happened fast enough where the person didn't take the computer. So.
Okay, so my goal was to try to track them because you said we heard someone moving.
Mm-hmm.
So do I have a sense of like where they're gonna move to or what direction they're going in?
Sure. We will say you have like a Doppler mic or Doppler analysis. Okay, so whoever left the room is running down the hall away from the lobby stairs and elevators. So maybe to a fire exit.
Towards the back of the building?
Yeah. Just sensibly, this will probably turn up in the back of the building.
Yeah. So, and you said we have radios, so I can.
No, I didn't say we didn't. We absolutely determined that we did not have radios at this point.
I see.
But you can talk to each other by yelling.
We could use like communicator as one of the items, right? We could use load to decide that we have them if we want to.
Right.
I kind of like the idea of yelling. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
But, like, if we want to make it simpler, like if we want to make communication simpler, we can just decide that we have
mode
to do it.
I think yelling is great.
Let's go ahead and determine though our loads. Since this is the first time we're ever doing this, it's okay if we all choose normal.
Okay.
So I suggest that if you want speed, which Peter may want, because he's in pursuit, you could say light. It does have an effect on, in addition to the inventory, how fast you move. So you can make that decision. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Jesse. We could have spent inventory on communicators, and this is a classic example of that. But you're standing right there by Calamity, and you've found out all this information.
Yeah, I think mostly. Yeah, I'm just gonna crank up my volume and yell, "He's coming out the back!" And
that's where we are, right?
yeah, and hopefully pitch the volume loud enough that the people in front will hear it.
So in that case, like as you're saying that, I think I swear, as I realize, well, now you've just told him that we're here out the back, right? And I try to shoulder through that back door, to like cut him off before he tries to turn around or go some other direction.
Okay. Excellent. I think that is a scramble.
Fantastic. Risky standard.
Yeah.
All right. Can I spend? You know what? No. Can I? Any interest in helping me out? Crane.
I can. What would that? You want me to like help kick the door open?
Yeah, I mean that would be like a good fictional way to do it. It would cost you a stress. Is the only thing. So if you don't
heck
want
yeah! Stress seems fun. I'm spending it.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So that gives me Sorry, you said it was scramble.
Yes. So that'll give you 2 dice so far. You could also push yourself, and you could also spend gambits.
You got a devil's bargain you want to offer me?
Sure. We're going to say that kicking in the back door, if you take it, will set off the security alarm. It's wired for security.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So that give you a second dice, and you can still spend a gambit.
Yeah. Well, that's 3 dice already with the help from.
Sure. But it's up to you. You can.
Yep.
You can.
I'm doing it.
So wait, are you going to spend a gambit or no?
No, I'm not spending a gambit. I don't need a 4th die for this.
Cool. All right.
I apparently needed a 4th die for this.
I don't see the roll.
It's a 3 and 2 1s.
Oh,
did it come across for you guys?
I don't see it.
Same.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to trust you then.
I'm willing to re-roll it if you want, but that was.
You're right. I see it. Okay. Again, you can resist this roll. You can resist the. Thing.
What's the consequence?
You're gonna take a shotgun blast.
Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna resist that.
Okay.
Definitely.
So you don't kick the door in. Absolutely. Like you kind of just bounce. Your foot bounces off of it. It's more sturdy than you think. And the door opens up. There's a shotgun blast, and you take it right in the chest. So.
Right. So I think the resist is just to be like I'm an ace pilot. I'm quick. Like I catch it out of the corner of my eye and like get behind the wall before like in that split second.
Okay, cool. So you know how to do resist, right?
Yep. And that is I take 2 stress.
Okay. All right. So let me just explain to everyone what just happens. When you resist, you just resist. I mean, you take the lesser. In this case, he would have taken harm. He's going to take a less effect. He will mark 1 harm. He normally would take 2 because that's a shotgun blast. The effect of resisting means that that the cost in stress is less. So he would have suffered 6 stress minus the highest die result. He rolled a 4, so he marks 2 stress.
Mm-hmm. And what do you want to call that harm? Is it like
we're going to say grazed?
Great.
So it wasn't a solid slug shotgun. It was like a slightly hardened shot. So like a hallway burner. You've seen them plenty of times before in the service. Jarek, are you still with us? Your camera's off, so I'm not sure if you are.
Looks like in the chat he said he was going to pop out for a few to handle something. So
okay, but so Jarek, you see Jarek haul up upstairs. You've actually reached the stairs before him. You were actually fairly stealthy when you got across. So whatever tripped it wasn't you. You've reached the stairs and you're climbing up the stairs, I'm going to assume, ahead of Jarek. So what's your approach? What are you going to do? And then you hear the gunshot.
Yeah. So is the like quickest way to the back still up the stairs? Like was it a second floor situation, or is
there a side door, like a fire exit door on this floor? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, like where's I guess I'm trying to get an idea of the layout of the building. I know like they're in the back, and the guy was coming from the second floor, but did he go downstairs to the first floor, or?
You don't know. You just know he's in the back of the hotel, and you do know that that there are rooms on this floor, right? So there was a hallway that leads into the back room. I'm sorry, into the back of the hotel. Probably another hallway with rooms on either side. So you could just go down that route. However, you're certain that the guy is at least on the second floor, and that's where you heard the noises.
Okay. Then I'm gonna think I'm gonna just damn it and scramble up the stairs.
Okay. You could do more than that. You could scramble and reach the room, or you could scramble and reach the guy where you think the guy is.
I want to reach the guy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then let's see what that roll looks like.
I'm gonna push myself to get.
Okay.
I'll push myself and spend a gambit to get go from 0 to 2 dice.
Okay. So this is still risky because although he doesn't know you're there, you were successful previously. There's no advantage of just running down the hallway. So when you hit scramble, it would be risky position and normal effect, and you would add 2 dice at the end.
Okay, that's a mixed success.
Okay, great. So you run down the hallway, and we're going to say it's around 45 feet to 50 feet towards the end. You'll definitely reach it. However, as you pass the door that you think the guy was staying in, you notice that it's slightly ajar, and you hear something mechanical whizzing around inside. You're not sure what it is. You also see the guy Ajax turn to look down this hallway, and he raises a shotgun. He's going to shoot you. Okay.
I want to remind me. So if I say I want to resist being shot.
Well, he's not shooting you yet, so I'm giving you the option of having another action to either get yourself out of that loop. But we're gonna go back to the other guys while you decide this.
Okay.
So Crane, there's a large hole in that door.
Yeah, actually, I was hoping to I don't know if it can work this quickly. I wanted to use my overclock ability to turn my small drone into a projectile and try to knock this shot away from I'm forgetting all the character names. Calamity, yeah. Oh no, not Calamity, Quip.
Oh, okay. So you're not aware that Quip is even being targeted. You just know the guy's on the other side of the door. But you can definitely spend
can I get some clarification of space, because now I'm confused words. Right, we are on the ground floor by the back door.
Yes.
And Quip has chased someone who we thought was Ajax up the stairs to the second floor.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. And how is there a sense of the time that's passed here? So meaning was it Ajax that shot through the door, then turned around and ran back? or like is it seem like, I mean, I guess we wouldn't know that from the outside anyway, but like is it just as a player, is it possible that there's a second shooter here?
No, this is what's happening. When you look through the gaping hole,
Mhm.
there's maybe 3 feet of level territory, and then there's immediately stairs. So
Got
whoever shot at you was at the top of the stairs.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, I think my plan then, yeah, not knowing that Quip is being aimed at, but knowing that this guy is shooting down the stairs, I wanted to like send the drone up the stairs to try and throw his aim off and give Calamity a chance to get in there because I know she almost got shot. So does that work for an overclock move?
Not, there's a couple ways to do it. The one way is to have Calamity do a move, and we can say all this just gives Calamity an extra die.
Yeah, that works for me.
Unless he. So, Calamity, what do you think?
Yeah, so like so if we're thinking about like a setup move for something that I could do, I'm just looking at that overclock move.
Well, it's really just I'm sending my drone in as a distraction.
Right. Okay, so it wouldn't be a separate setup move so much as like aid for whatever I end up doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, maybe this is I don't know if this you tell me whether this requires a roll or not, Gene. But like if or the fiction's enough here. But if the drone is in there being distracting, like what happens if I just reach my arm through the hole to try to open the door from the inside?
You don't need a roll for that. So, I mean, you could just do that.
Yeah. But I mean, the drone is still important because without it, right? Presumably that I would then be.
Yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah.
like narratively, you could say the drone has gone through the door, right? And then you just reach in and open the door, which is fine. But I don't. That's really not an action. You still can do more. So.
Yeah. So then I think I want to give chase. I want to like I want to run up those stairs. But like I guess it's more of an evasive move than an attacking move. Like I'm not charging who's ever up there. It's sort of like I'm keeping myself low to the ground and kind of just like.
Yeah, we're trying to charge the high ground, which is tough. And so hopefully, from our point of view, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to shoot at the drone and give you enough time to rush the stairs because he's shooting at us as far as we know. So that's kind of what I had in mind.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly.
So that is a scramble roll again.
Great. So I'm going to use Leaf on the Wind to spend 3 stress to get plus 1 effect and plus 1d, which will presumably push me back to standard effect. I didn't ask you what effect was going to be beforehand.
Well, this is actually a desperate roll because he shot at you once before. So, I'm sorry, I just got buzzed. And I am on call, oddly enough. Let me just check this real quick. No, it's nothing. I'm sorry. So, effect is that you'll reach him and you didn't specify whether you're going to tackle him or not, but you'll reach him without getting shot.
I would. I'm not trying to tackle him quite yet. I just want to get up there.
Yeah. So it is a desperate move, but if you make it, you're going to get all the way up there without getting a hit, getting hit.
So I just because my grazed harm gives me less effect. Like so is that you're calling that standard effect or is that?
We'll call it standard for now, and then we'll bump up the magnitude. I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm. So it gets bumped down because of the harm, and then bumped back up.
I see. That's
part of the yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I'm slower because I was grazed by that shot, and
yeah, I agree with you. It should just be normal.
Okay, yeah, great. So I get an extra die. I spend 3 stress. I get an extra die. And did Crane? Did you spend a stress for that bot to be aid there?
I'll do that now. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah. So that's another die. So that gets me an extra 2 dice. Can I spend a gambit?
Sure.
Do we have any? I wasn't counting.
You're at 4. You guys have tons of gambit.
Great. We're at 4, so I'm definitely going to spend a gambit. So that's a third die. That's a third extra die. That gives me 4 dice. I'm not going to look for a devil's bargain here. I think that's 4 dice is a lot of dice.
Yeah.
And Devil's Bargain could be pretty dire in this situation.
Yeah. Desperate. Standard. Bonus dice. 3. Submit. Oh, that's a 6.
Yeah, nice. Okay, another he fires though on the way on your way up. Your superior reflexes, you dodge it neatly. The drone kind of spins around in front of you. You reach the top of the stairs, and he is stunned that you survived that shotgun blast. Over his shoulder, you see Quip running down the corridor and Jarek rushing up the stairs.
Actually, sorry, we don't need to redo what just happened, but I realized Ace Pilot actually gives me extra potency there. All speed related rolls, and that was a speed thing. I don't know what that would get me aside from getting there, but
yeah, good point. No, that's fine. So potency, it really is a narrative thing though. If you had said that you wanted to tackle him when you got at the top of the stairs, then we would have.
It's fine. I'm just noting it so that I remember next time. Yeah.
However, he is scrambling. Like now, he's clearly you have the upper hand. He's not sure who to shoot because he was clearly thinking about shooting Quip and had to switch to shoot you, and he missed you completely. Quip, you see Calamity appear at the end of the hall, and there's some kind of imminent struggle there. But you are at that juncture where you can either go all the way down the hall or you can go into the room that he just vacated. Up to you.
I'm gonna, while he's struggling with Calamity, I'm gonna pull out my fine sidearm and shoot him in the leg.
Okay. So, yeah, that is on your sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Or pair. So you have 1 or 2. All right.
Currently, it seems that I have 1, but I mean, I could always pull out a second if I wanted, right? As long as I have load.
Yeah. So that is a scrap roll, and again, you can add as many dice as you want, based on your expenditures of stress and or gambits or whatnot. You can also get the assist from Jarek at this point, or the assist from Calamity.
I think narratively it makes most sense that I'd be getting the assist from Calamity, probably, if I'm using their struggle. Depends if Calamity is down to get more stress, which...
Always down for more stress, yeah. Yeah,
All right.
I mean, I think my presence, like, I mean, I'm there bearing the brunt of that shot, distracting them, which, is probably where that stress is coming from.
Yeah.
Now, let's not forget the heroism of my drone.
Yes.
Okay, so all right. So that gives you another die.
Okay.
And you can spend gambits or stress yourself or take a devil's bargain.
I'll take another gambit.
Okay. So that puts you at 3.
And then so that should be 3. 3 total. So that's risky or desperate.
Yeah, it's risky.
And standard.
Yes.
Okay. So.
All right. Very nice.
Ooh.
You tag him. He takes a hit from your well, what kind of gun is it? Let's talk about what that blaster looks like. In Cowboy Bebop, almost everyone has a slug thrower, but if you want anything special about this sidearm, you can tell me.
Yeah, so I think it's just like a small discrete pistol, like the kind that's like it's smaller than most of the pistols you'd see in Cowboy Bebop. It's slimmer, easier to hide in clothes.
Okay. Cool. So it's got more of an elegant weapon, you think?
Yeah, might be a little. It's old though. It's like it's not. It's definitely not it's not fancy. Like it's a it's like it's a nice gun, but it's clearly an old nice gun.
Okay, cool. So you hit him pretty square, and Calamity, he drops like a sack of potatoes right in front of you. Oddly enough, he's laughing, and he clutches his bloody wound and kind of looks up at you and says, "You're too late." Jarek, you have reached Quip, who's done a really amazing shot from 40 feet away in the dark with his friend hanging around and a drone whizzing around his head. You are at the well. Let me explain where Quip is. Quip was stopped right in front of the room, hotel room that Ajax had vacated when you busted at him. So,
Well, with Ajax down and those cryptic words, I'm going to run into the hotel room and see what is amiss, if anything.
all right. Why don't? Okay, so when you do this, you push the door open. It hits a tripwire and sets off an explosion. It's gonna pretty much blast you to. I'm not gonna say Kingdom Come, but it's gonna hurt you real bad. You have to resist this.
Great. Okay.
Okay, so to do that, again, you would choose prowess, and again, it's automatic, right? You don't roll to see if the resist is successful. It just is. So your roll is just to determine how much stress you don't take, or you take rather.
Okay.
So,
here we go.
you're gonna make this roll too in a minute, Quip. So if that's your question,
That was my question.
okay.
Okay, so I take 2 stress.
I didn't see you roll. Yes,
The
you
highest
take,
I rolled
yeah.
was a 4.
You take 2 stress, and you're gonna take 1 harm, and you're gonna choose rattle. So there's an explosion in the room. You're thrown back against the wall. Quip, you're also gonna have to make a resist to make sure that. Well, no, you don't have to make a resist. You could just take it. But I'm gonna assume you're gonna resist it, right?
Is there any mechanical reason not to try to resist?
This game they make you want to resist everything.
Okay. Looks like I only take 1 stress.
Narratively, it sometimes is pretty interesting. If you don't resist it. Yeah. So Crane from outside, windows explode out. There's a flash of light. The room was wired to explode. You hear something moving from down the alley. You see a bubble-shaped zip craft warming up and starting to cruise down the alleyway.
In our direction.
Yeah, it's heading towards you. It's picking up speed and altitude.
And in the bubble, is it obvious who's in there, or is this like happening real quick?
You can't see who it is.
But
you hear it. You hear it more than see it, to be honest.
Can I jump in with a quick mechanical question that may also, depending on the answer, prove useful here?
Sure.
You didn't mention flashbacks as a mechanic.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Beforehand, but that's the kind of thing that in a situation like this might be helpful. To like have our zip crafts poised in some place, or or to have been prepared for a zip craft to like be in the alley or whatever it is, to like try and bar its escape or something.
Yeah. So flashbacks are a thing. You're absolutely right, Jesse, and I just forgot about it. You're absolutely right. You can have flashbacks. A flashback, I believe you spend 2 stress to have a flashback to allow you to create contingencies or to modify your plan. What you can't use it for is to modify a roll. So, for example, Peter can't use a flashback to avoid that explosion. That has already happened. But as Jesse just described it, he could say, I'm going to spend 2 stress and say, I have my mono racer right around the corner set to go. Or you could say Crane has his on auto. you can use that a flashback at this point.
Or like we could even if we don't, or we could even say like we've right, if it's a narrow alley, like we could say like we've set up like tripwires or something, like blocking the entrance or exit to make it harder for this zip craft to get out. Like in the like thinking that we knew that could, because we knew this was an escape vector or whatever. I don't know. That's a thought.
That's all really good. I think I don't think there's something here that Crane would have Crane's not like a tactician, which is why Crane is going to run at the zip craft and try to slap a detonator on it, on the bubble, because if we can crack the bubble, then they're not going into space. And hopefully get out of the way of its own blast. All
right.
So
and Crane does have a detonator, so
yeah,
that is a scramble roll.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark my detonator, and my scramble is a 1, and I would like to mark 2 stress, and then also we still have some
You wanted
gambit.
You want to mark 2 stress because you're pushing yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And you still have 3 gambits.
Okay, so does anyone mind if I use one of those?
Seems pretty critical.
So that's 3 dice. I'm not sure of what I can do to get more than that. The detonator doesn't count as a...
it doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. I will say though, this is kind of a desperate move, so it's more than risky. It's
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that you're giving yourself 3 dice, and your scramble's 1.
Yeah.
So you'd have a total of 4 dice. So your position is risky, I said, and the effect is normal.
Okay. So I'm gonna roll scramble plus 3.
Yes.
Risky. Oh, you said desperate or risky?
Yeah, desperate.
Desperate. And
you are kind of hurling yourself against a vehicle.
Still standard effect?
Yes.
Okay. And
to be clear here, the best way to change the effect is if you have a special ability that'll bump it.
Got it. Yeah, no, I don't think I can overclock my detonator in like a split second.
Yeah.
So yeah, my goal is you said you described it as kind of coming towards us down the alleyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to.
But let me be clear here. It's clearly trying to escape, not run you over. It's trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm picturing having to run and like leap and try to like high five this thing and then also roll out of the way.
Okay, cool.
So, and I'm assuming a detonator is different from a grenade. Is that accurate? Like I assume other people have grenades on their sheet.
You know what? I'm not sure if it matters for what we're doing right now. I mean, I'll look it up, but for now, I'm assuming it's a small charge.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, the difference would be like I could throw a grenade from far away, and a detonator I have to like stick it on there. So
or rig somehow to explode remotely or timed or whatever, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna roll some dice.
Okay.
Hey. That's a
all right.
Success.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a total success. So you managed to pretty much jump on the underside for a moment, slap that thing on, and I assume you release yourself, right?
Oh yeah. Drop back down and roll into like a big pile of boxes and stuff that's down there.
So let me, before I'm so distracted by this, but Peter, to mark harm, you would put it in slot 1, and I said you're rattled, right? So if you would look at Calamity's sheet, Calamity is, you did it exactly right. So what that does is that if you have that mark, that means you have less effect on future rolls as soon as, because you're harmed. Okay, so
sorry, I also have a question, which is thinking about it for more than a second. Like, can I have not resisted? actually, or at this point is it because it seems to make
Let's not
more
worry about
fictional.
Let's
Okay,
not worry about it. We're going to say your reflexes are so good you just naturally do. It was more important to get us, to be honest, to see the mechanic
Yeah.
work
okay.
than the actual thing. So what are the conditions to detonate? Did you do it on impact or like a short timer?
Yeah, like I'm running and my thumb is just like a second so that I can drop away from it, but I also don't want this thing to get too high. So
All right.
yeah.
So it explodes. It wasn't like a level the block kind of charge.
No.
You hit it in a critical place though, and some kind of gyro, and it starts spinning away, and spinning away, and eventually hits a building and bounces off. Then pretty much crashes to the ground. We're going to say 100 feet away from me, 150 feet away.
Awesome.
And you guys hear sirens. Calamity, Ajax looks up at you and says, "You're too late. I already sold it. You could take me in though. I know you're a cowboy."
Sold what?
The data. That's what they wanted.
Quick clarifying question, just because I'm trying to remember back to the beginning of the session. So he had let the bounty go. Right. That was the implication. I assumed the bounty was a person, but a bounty isn't necessarily a person. Is that the?
Yeah.
Is that the implication? Okay, interesting.
Right.
Sorry.
And Jezri, who was your fixer, didn't tell you anything about what the target
what the bounty was. Got it. Okay. No, I just forget. Sorry, I'm a few time zones earlier, and it's pretty late here. What he said they already got the data. That's what they wanted, or I already gave it. I already sold it. What did he say?
Yeah, I already sold the data. You could take me in if you want, collect the bounty, but it's not going to help them. Or you can let me go, and I could help you.
What are you offering?
Well, if you've chosen the special ability that you can turn a target into a contact, we could make him a contact. However, you didn't choose that. So he says, "I'll give you some money. I know what they're paying you. If you just let me go, I'll just pay you what they want to pay. But the data's sold. There's no advantage of taking me in."
The advantage is I don't need to argue with you. We're taking you in.
See, and by the way, this is where reputation comes into play. I played in a group that was professional, and because the reputation was professional, they would have taken this guy in every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So because that that was their thing. But I've also played with a group that chose strange, and they might have had a completely different thing. But you guys are daring, so I'm assuming now that you guys are all gathering together. Crane, you might want to check out that the wreckage.
Yeah, that's my plan. And sort of as I'm running past the back door where everyone's up there, I'm like, "We've got a downed ship out here," and just run in that direction.
Okay, you guys heard the crash. Jarek and Quip, you guys kind of lift yourself up, worse for the wear, but mostly intact, and you shamble towards Calamity so you could have this discussion with Ajax. Apparently, Ajax is trying to parlay with Calamity. Yeah, I'll pay you what? Hey, you know what? I'll pay you an additional 50% if you let me go. I've been in this business a long time. I have some coin.
Can I punch him?
You certainly can. You know,
are you asking? Are you asking that in character?
Yeah.
Oh,
I shrug.
Cool. I'm going to take that as permission, and I'm just going to punch him.
Are you trying to knock him out or just to prove a point?
I mean, I want to prove a point, but if I knock him out in the process, I'm not going to be mad.
Okay. You've worked over a lot of guys in your time, right?
Yeah.
So you tell me what you think happens.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of going to try and prove a point then.
Okay.
I think I'm punching him more for the fact that I don't care if I was the one to trip off the explosion. He probably set the explosion, and I'm pissed.
Okay. All right. He takes it like a pro, but you feel a little bit better.
Cool.
But yeah, you now have blasters on him. He's not going to run. He was doing a job. He just didn't do it. Crane, you walk over towards the wreckage. You hear sirens coming closer, so you only have a few minutes before emergency services appear. You peer into the bubble. The thing has started to burn, and it's taken a lot of damage. The charge by itself probably destroyed whatever's in there, but the additional, bouncing around didn't help much either. However, it is a spacecraft, and these things are, structurally integral, structurally stable. However, the cockpit is burned, and you see what appears to be a skeleton, but not enough time has passed for it to be, like a human skeleton that is burned. You recognize that it's metal. The pilot was a robot.
Dang, that's not good. So is there like a central computer or something anything about it that I can recover?
We're going to get to that next time we play.
Okay.
So we're going to wrap up now a little bit early. Thank you for coming. I hope you had a good time. Jesse, you're invaluable. I'm glad you showed up for just this one session. You're invited to come back if you get to swing it, but you helped us so much with your knowledge of the game.
I'm real happy I got to play. I love Forged in the Dark, and I have not been playing very much lately. So when this session lined up time-wise for me, it was great. I'm glad. I had a great time. Thanks, everybody.
All right. I know it's late for you, so I'm going to stop the broadcast. Hang around for a couple minutes, and then we'll wrap up. Okay? So stopping the broadcast now.